what's going on, Guardians? TBL here from Planet Destiny, and we've got something quick for you Guardians today. Just a simple video concerning elemental primaries, their place in Destiny, and really how they sort of affect the game overall. And just talking a bit about how I'd like to see them re-implemented in Destiny in the future. Elemental primaries were largely locked to raid content and provided you with a weapon that had a primary element on it. A lot of people thought these guns were overpowered, and the reason why for a lot of people was the element itself. So we're going to do a little bit of damage testing here. As you guys can see, I have got myself the old classic Fatebringer, and I have matched it up with a year 1 Devil You Know. It took a lot of Ascendant energy that I had to go and collect. And of course, I tried to get a roll as close to the Fatebringer stat-wise as I could. These guns are both in the 22 rate of fire, 81 impact tree, and we're going to be heading off into the Cosmodrome to test out their damage against Tier 1 and Tier 2 enemies, as well as test out exactly how this gun works versus shielded enemies. Now, the real main benefit of an elemental primary isn't so much so that it deals more damage than kinetic weapons, it's that it allows you to bypass enemy shields of the same elemental type. The reason we're testing this against low-level enemies is because we're over-leveled for it, so we'll deal a static amount of damage to them. If I was fighting level 40 enemies, the damage numbers might be off by a little bit because of light and how all of that works. So as you can see here, against a shielded captain, the Devil You Know did about 176 damage per shot, while the Fatebringer did 405, and that's because the arc elemental damage allows you to bypass that shield and hit that captain with the full force of your weapon. Remember, think of shields on enemies like extra health, and having an elemental weapon that matches that shield allows you to burn through that health a little bit faster. Once that shield is gone, however, both elemental primaries and kinetic weapons deal the exact same damage. As you'll see here, against Tier 1 red bar enemies, both Fatebringer and the Devil You Know deal about 527 damage per headshot, showing you that on normal non-shielded enemies, the majority of what you'll be facing in Destiny, elemental primaries will deal the exact same amount of damage as kinetic weapons do. No more, no less. And it's really the same scenario when you're fighting majors. Both Fatebringer and the Devil You Know will deal 592 for precision shots, 395 damage for body shots. Again, no variance at all. And finally, these two guns deal the exact same amount of damage to an enemy of a different shield element type. As you can see, we've got a Tier 1 wizard here. Both the Fatebringer and the Devil You Know deal about 165 damage per shot while this shield is up, and as we previously saw on Tier 1 enemies, about 527 damage for a precision shot when the shield is down, showing that the advantage that you get from wielding an elemental primary disappears not only when you're facing non-shielded enemies, but also when you're facing enemies of a different shield elemental type. What they really allow for is just the ability to bypass some of that extra health. They almost allow you to negate the shield of enemies whose element matches your primary weapon, and that's a pretty cool ability. And that's ultimately the point of an elemental primary, to be able to handle those shielded enemies just a little bit easier, and it's something that I definitely miss having the use of in Year 3. Elemental primaries felt unique. They felt helpful because you could take them into those situations, have the exact same performance as your favorite guns, and still be able to pop those shields a little bit faster. Kind of like having an added benefit to an already good gun. And that's ultimately what elemental primaries were. Now, the only time they did deal inherently more damage than normal primaries were, of course, the weeks when burns were active on either the Nightfall or the Heroic mode. That's where I could see the real argument for these guns being stronger, really taking hold. But even then, those are special modifiers and special playlists that are meant to make you feel more powerful. And they also work for your enemies. You can die a lot quicker too, so it doesn't really come into play in normal game modes. So, with all that being said, I would really like to see elemental primaries take a larger place in Destiny once again, maybe with some future raid content. And of course, if you guys know me, you know I've stated several times on the podcast and in previous videos that I would love for a system to come into place that's sort of like the Legendary Sparrow upgrade system from Xur. Maybe you could buy a special item for a ton of legendary marks or strange coins or whatnot that would allow you to only once, upgrade a specific primary to give it a specific element. You'd only be able to do it on that weapon once. And then you'd be able to turn your favorite legendary into a legendary with an element burn on it. That'd be great. I'd love to have myself a solar Ayasaluna. Again, I just wanted to show that old school elemental primaries weren't inherently more powerful, at least on a normal scale, than kinetic weapons. But be sure to let us know what you guys think. Do you want to see elemental primaries return to Destiny? Are you happy they're gone? Be sure to let us know. But alright, it's going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thanks so much for watching Planet Destiny, your guide to the Destiny universe. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.